Again, not to discredit the word energy. Well, even hotspots, if we see something growing, we can talk about thermodynamics if it actually occurs, but I'm going to do a quick demo with all of these devices. So I'll ask that everybody kind of focus on all of the devices, regardless of what you're going to be assigned, because you're going to get all of the data back, and you're going to need to know how to watch or listen to these devices. So with that, you're also going to have questions. Hang on to them. The first location we go to is more of a hands-on with each individual person, so everybody knows what they're doing with their device. So, thermal imaging. You should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy, right? So that means I'm the hottest thing inside the picture. Sorry, fellas. I know you guys aren't bridal party, but it still works here. There's only 2 guys. I could take them. Either that or outrun them, right? So, but either way, we're really looking for are the blue and black spots to start moving. You know, why am I the red, orange, and yellow guy in there? It's because... Right, so the blue and black, hopefully we're going to either see something take shape or something like move on its own. So this thing is super cool. Do I capture a lot of things with this? No. But if we don't record, we're not going to capture. So again, I'm all about like what is actually coming through when I'm watching this video. The cool thing about this video is there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. You might not be able to see it from the distance you're at right now, but that blue dot is giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. It's helping to direct your eye to the colder areas. So again, we're going to talk a lot about these devices as we kind of move along throughout the night. But I think, Daniel, we're going to go with you on this guy.
There you go, Daniel.
You're gonna what?
You're gonna take it from me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Daniel, you're the
That's-
cameraman.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So
Basically, the difference from what we're seeing here is only about 40 degrees, right? From the bluest to the reddest.
you tell me. You're the one that's got the temperatures on there. It'll tell you the center crosshairs, and then there's the blue dot on there as well.
Yeah, so 99, 87.
We'll have to probably stop it in a minute or two to, be able to get it to kind of balance the temperature out a little bit. So we are going to do a few starts and stops with that video, just because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. So we will have to do a few starts and stops, but you're probably going to have about an hour to an hour and a half worth of video that comes out of that.
He's making sure you're all human.
You're running a fever right there.
I was going to. My joke later is let me know who's running the fever. I can pick him off.
Probably am.
Nice. Good one, buddy. Good. None of us have masks on. That's not very funny today.
I'm just saying.
With you all, keep her over there.
It's a new way to test.
Yeah, you're 109 degrees.
Imagine we just came out of a pandemic. That is like crazy.
Next device. Quick demo. You guys should not be able to see me in that very small camera. It should be pretty dark in there, other than a little bit of lighting. So we're going to turn on some lights.
Wow.
Yeah, I scared you, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I just lit up 10 IR lights, infrared lighting. So we are working with the full spectrum here. So I should be in somewhat of a purple hue.
Yep.
So this is lights we cannot see with our own eyes. The hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we normally would not be able to see with our own eyes. So again, love this camera. This is a brand new upgrade. This is only the 4th or 5th night that I've actually had it out. 5th night, because 3 out of the 4 so far have actually captured a lot of orbs. So again,
Kids are so high tech. I'm impressed.
love it. Love this stuff.
Seriously,
So
look at you.
this is pretty impressive camera.
Yeah.
So Robert, this is all about you, my friend.
Don't drop it, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're fine.
So this is a video camera or digital one-stop? This is going to take pictures.
Oh no, that's a GoPro.
Got it.
It's an altered GoPro.
Got it.
To be able to see the lighting.
Cool.
So you have to hook it on your head with
Yeah,
a helmet.
exactly.
So now that both cameras
what
are
I need.
out, I want to kind of give I do the cameras first on purpose. So we're going to be going to some spaces where obviously there's going to be some parked cars, people are going to be walking by. People don't like to be filmed, they don't like their cars to be filmed.
Right.
In the event that I do kind of that Andy's coming kind of mentality, obviously you're going to just be playing with a cell phone and handling it very casually.
You two are going to have
Yours,
to get
you're going
disciplined
to
if
point
you
it
don't
to the
hold
ground.
still.
Got it.
All right.
So
Don't drop it.
spirit boxes. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So on your TV shows and your YouTube videos, this is normally the white noise, and then your host will tell you the BS he thinks he heard, trying to convince you of the same thing because it's all garbled up. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in real time. There's another way you can actually use these. You can actually slow them down and allow the radio chatter to come through. What does that mean? The song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials. If we can make out what's actually coming through, because as you can see, those numbers are all moving. It's going through every single FM radio station right now.
Nice.
So What is it doing? If we can make out one of those song lyrics or DJs or commercials, it's a 50-50 shot that I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. The cool thing about this one specifically is that it's going to record the entire session for us, because none of you are going to hear it in real time other than the user. So with that said, you're going to have an earbud in. You're going to
Your earbud me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, hang on. That's on. She's so excited. Do you guys see why I look for my chatty Cathy? So
Watch it, Nick. Be careful, Nick.
where are you going to find me in the encyclopedia?
Nick reminds me of Sean.
I said,
Yeah, he
you're
does.
in
Are
the
you in
encyclopedia. We have a problem.
So
Sean would love this.
this is not going to record any outside noise. It's only going to record the radio sweep. So you can turn the volume up and down as you want to. It's not going to mess with the recording
Crank it.
at all. So you're going to crank it because you need to know where the volume is.
Damn.
So the volume is right here. It's a wheel.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I'm going to turn it all the way down. You're going to unscrew, like fasten your earbuds here. Most
Okay.
people
You got a hot
use just
spot.
one. And I don't want them back because your earwax is gross.
Thank you. I
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
I buy them in bulk.
Good. I needed some earbuds. Too bad I'm taking the other piece.
They're cheap 50 centers.
That's how hot the street is.
These
compared
guys
to
are
the
taking
car.
the cameras too. You're hostage now.
I told you, I can run pretty quick.
You
All
know
right, so
I'm
I
just
do
messing
use
with
2 of these. So the second one will not record. So I'm going to have to rely on that person in real time of what they're actually hearing. So with that, I do carry a little notebook with me because some of these devices I don't want them to record. So again, I have to kind of keep
Careful
notes. So
what
you'll
you
get
say.
all of the notes of the things that happen in real time on top of the things that I find tomorrow morning. So with that, I think I'm going to hand this one off to you, Carla.
I knew you was going to say that.
So your volume is right here. It's a wheel. You can
Okay.
play with that. You'll just have to undo the head earbuds right there. I keep calling them headphones. Shows my age, right?
Did you find the radio station? No. It's not going to pick it up.
Screen went out.
It's because you broke it.
Oh, well, it's not the first time.
Is this
won't be
tied
the
in a
last.
knot or
You
what's
gotta put
the
another
deal?
quarter in the set.
I can't see.
You said that.
Did
Here,
I,
stick it.
did I touch a button or something?
You must have slid something. It is a regular cell phone.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah. I figured
just
that.
a specific type that can actually handle that camera. So the next spirit box works a lot differently. We don't actually have to listen to anything. It's going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. So basically, where those 3 dots are, we're going to see terms come up, just like an obulus if you're familiar with the TV shows. It's going to save all of those words into a list. My last group, we actually had quite a bit. We had 102 terms show up that night.
Wow.
So I'm going to clear out that history, and we're going to start us off fresh. What I like about that word list is that it gives me timestamps. So 80% of this, I'm just going to put it out there, it's going to be bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. This is a phone app. It's meant to try to scare people. So the other 5 to 20%, again, I'm going to give you the full list, but it's the other 5 to 20% that I'm going to be able to tie to the location, a person, one of you. Obviously, I'll tell you why it's relevant and then give you the backlink to be able to verify it.
Okay, I downloaded that app before we went to dinner, and I had it on, and when you were talking, it came up writing, and you're a writer.
Oh, my.
You also have Landon on there. My daughter's name is London.
Crazy.
Just putting that up there. So
Wow.
this is, now, you have probably the free version. 'cause
Yeah,
I see
exactly.
apps.
I just downloaded
So
it.
your version has about 2,000 terms in it.
Am I supposed to have a radio on here?
Mine has 9,168.
Wow.
And I didn't add anything to it. It's just
Wow.
the upgraded version. So yeah, you'll have the radio stations coming through. You're listening for those DJs and song lyrics.
So that is a true thing. Okay. So
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about.
She was making fun of me, thinking I was crazy. We're in the restaurant. It's
Nope.
popping things up.
I love this. I've been using this thing for years.
Cool.
I think that was going to be
What's the name of that app?
Ghost Hunting Tools.
How do I turn the volume
It's
down?
ghost hunting
You turn the wheel the other way.
Well, it's just changing radio channels.
That's what I want it to do.
Oh.
I don't want
She wants the volume to come down. Or-
Well, she controls the volume. So that wheel, where your thumb is,
Yeah.
turn it the other way.
Everything's gone. No, it's changing the channel though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this next spirit box works completely different. I told you all these spirit boxes work a little bit differently than the next one. So this one is relatively new as well. I've had it for about 6 or 7 weeks now. So this is going to sweep through the FM and the AM radio stations at the same time. So the white noise that the 2 ladies are listening to with their earbuds, it's trying to eliminate that and only give us voices from time to time. So far this guy's been about 75% accurate, but it's only been giving us about 10 to 12 actual terms and phrases for a 2-hour tour. But out of those 10 to 12 terms, 75% of them are dead on, spot on, accurate. So I'm going to mute this guy for right now, Miss Karen. So this one's going to be yours.
Okay.
So the only thing you need to worry about is the mute button because it is open air. So the mute button is the only button on the right-hand side. Obviously, the lights are going to be at the top, but on the right, there's a button right where my finger is. So get used to where that is.
So put it around your wrist too.
Right there, the round button right there.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's on mute, and I did that purposely because sometimes it can be distracting because I'm kind of going to, trying to go through things.
Okay.
So I'll say, let's go ahead and mute that one, or I'll say, let's turn it off.
You're running the temperature.
Sorry.
You're running the temperature.
Told you people don't like to be filmed.
I know.
He just told you that.
That's one coat.
I'm sorry. What?
You're going to be my multitasker.
Okay.
Give it to the worst one.
You'll be fine.
Dave's got our back.
So, EMF detectors, you guys have probably seen these guys on television, right? The little blinky lights. So this is a new upgraded version too, by the way. We're just not going to use it tonight. The only upgrade to it is that it's supposed to buzz when it actually goes off. It doesn't buzz to where we can actually hear it outside. It was a wasted extra $10. And the only reason I had to buy a new one is because some little kid dropped mine like 20 times last week. And the back was falling off. Oh yeah, all the time. Why? They're the ones that want to go. They show up in Ghostbusters. So, back to my device. So, this is called a millimeter. This is going to do 3 different functions. It's going to measure electromagnetic fields. So that means things from your cell phone, from wiring, from buildings, also changes in spirit activity. So anything above 2.5 on the big numbers, I want to know what's going on. So that way I can kind of debunk it or see what, if we actually have something or not. The bottom number is going to give us ambient temperature.
Okay.
So Daniel over here finds something on his camera. You and I can debunk it pretty quickly with this yellow probe at the top.
Right.
So the last thing that it has is it has a motion sensor in it. It's called a REM pod. So basically if something gets close to that antenna, it's going to go off. The closer it gets, the higher the pitch. Obviously there's an array of color in there. So we're going to talk more about that at our next location. I'm going to turn it off for now.
Okay.
So that way all you have to do is focus on your numbers.
Focus on my numbers.
You got it.
And what am I focusing on? This static?
Walking.
So, in effect,
1 foot in front of the
pull
other.
one out. There you go. So that way you can hear both of us. So, you're listening for song lyrics, DJs, and commercials to be able to come through. And if you can make out what they're saying, for example, if it says, buy a Kia today, I want to know that you heard buy a Kia today.
Okay.
Does that make sense now?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Should we turn our phones off?
No.
Interfere with it?
Nope, not at all. You guys all have families, and emergencies do happen, so keep them on. So let's talk about why we started here. So I also want to point out, Chatty Cathy's, when they get a spirit box, when's the last time Miss Donna has said anything?
That's funny.
I'm waiting for Stairway to Heaven on this friggin' radio, if you want to know what I mean. Peter Frampton, is he coming on?
He's like, who?
No, I'm older than I look.
Oh, okay.
I'm a grandfather. We'll just put that out.
Wow, get out.
Yeah.
Really? Good for you.
I don't believe
No, actually I didn't.
Were you 10 or what?
Nope. All right, so Big John's behind me. There's a reason why we started here. So obviously you guys were all talking about the established 1955 and wow, what a new building. But this is actually a renovation of the old Big John's that was originally established in 1955. There was plenty of things in between, but it is now the new old Big John's, if that makes sense. But anyway, this place used to be owned and started by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. So, with that said, this was his place. He used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. And one night, 2 guys come in. They're not old enough to drink. So here's the bartender blow them out. They leave pretty pissed off, and they come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on. He slams down his beer, gets up, beats the hell out of these guys. Just starts pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John gets up after being shot, only one being shot, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in an ambulance. Yes, you just cocked your head like, really? Seriously? So here's the irony of the story. Nobody died in that story. I just told you this place is haunted, yet nobody actually died here. So what's haunting the place? The bullet hole is allegedly still here. Even if it's not after the renovation of the Big John's we're now staring at, Big John's blood is in this building. People that sit in the front of this building tend to get a little queasy, nauseous or headache. A lot of my guests will go there for dinner before meeting with me, and a lot of times they tell me they had a great steak, but they couldn't finish it because they felt sick from the stomach. Where did you sit? In the front of the bar. Now you know why. This is your heated warning. fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. I do not know how it's going to affect any of you because we're not close like that yet. However, if anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately. It is a very big deal. Obviously, safety first at all times. That way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay.
So 911 is a joke.
No.
It's the negative energy from the fight.
Oh.
It's his bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to find that raised emotion, no matter what it is, whether it's love, trauma, death, is usually what stirs up paranormal activity. So
But you can clear that. It can be cleared. Like, I mean, there's energy.
it can, but again, he's not looking to harm anybody. It's not.
It's
You know,
that karma every time.
it's honestly, it's just raised EMF. The only time I've ever gotten EMF inside that building, other than the wiring, obviously, is in the front of that building. So again, it's one of those instances where it can happen.
It's like a tape recorder.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that again later. Wow, you guys are really jumping the gun on me on almost
One of
everything.
the owners told me that story, but he failed to tell me about the fight and the bullet. He didn't
Oh,
tell
really?
me that.
So
Yeah.
what story did he tell you?
Well, he told me everything you said, that there was a fight and that they that was kind of it, and he told me how much they respect the cadets, you call them?
The cadets.
Cadets. And obviously what they do, and then he mentioned that they're old enough to fight for your country. They deserve to be old enough to drink a beer.
In other
So
words, they give
don't-
them beer even if
they
they're
give
not
them
old
beer
enough.
even if they're not old enough, but they
And
won't
somebody
let them,
always pays their tab.
but they won't let them get drunk.
So it's like Ezekiel inside.
I don't know who that is.
But
And inside is too big for me to be able to determine anything unless it's a recurrent.
Maybe it's Ezekiel bread.
it's going to record everything on our record.
So let's continue on. We have a lot to cover here, guys. So same building. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another Charleston history tour, now you do. This is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. A piece of the mantle you see in the middle of the building actually wraps around the front as well. A piece of it broke off during that earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head, and they say it killed him, and you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that story because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So I always have to get that one out even though I just brought it up again. So now we're going to get rolling. So we're going to actually go this way. Down to the right here.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's definitely a Sean.
Yeah, and he don't have time to explain stuff. I keep hearing a video, music, and then it goes away.
You know he's recording you, right?
Yep.
Alright, so I want everybody to kind of think of your time with me as kind of a ghost hunting 101. This is a very brief stop. Notice how my voice already changed and it dropped. This is where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. So they are already sleeping. I don't want to disrupt anything, which is why we use earbuds with spirit boxes now. So Karen, yours is definitely going to stay on mute, at least on the space that we're going to, the time we're going to spend here. So I keep everything simple. We're going to progress throughout the night. This one is a simple spot, and then you're going to learn more about your devices at the next space and so forth and so on. By the last stop, I pretty much let you guys have free reign. This is where we kept the horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's all the history I got, 1860s and 1920s. So let's talk about those spirit boxes, because what do we have? 4 in play tonight? 5. 4. So, sorry, I have 6, so I always have to stop and count and see how many I actually got out. So we have 4 in play tonight. Spirit boxes, this is not a Ouija board, this is not television. This is not, is somebody here?
Right.
Reason being is because if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here, right? So we're not going to be getting like actual paranormal proof from yes and no questions. You will not be asking yes and no questions at all tonight. There's always a way to reword the question. For example, I would normally tell my folks, ask questions in a space like this when you're getting used to a device of something you already know the answer to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red because we're using, obviously Felicia has the word list. So keep in mind that 3 out of the 4 spirit boxes are using DJs and song lyrics to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to them. However, blood, fire truck, heart. These 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer as what color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night I'm going to require that there's something else to verify what's actually going on.
Just to clarify, you said the big red barn.
Yes.
The big barn or the big red?
The big red barn.
Big red barn.
What color is the big red barn?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because then they say it's red.
Right.
Okay.
Instead of yes.
Instead of
Got it,
somebody
got it,
here,
got it.
yes,
Okay.
or no.
Okay.
Because
Well, I was thinking, what color is the barn? But
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
want to go after something we know the answer to.
Got it. Okay.
Right. Example of a verification so everything is kind of crystal clear. If Felicia has the word art on her word list, that doesn't mean anything by itself. Carla here's the number 40. That doesn't mean anything by itself. You put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you see where I have to put all these pieces together?
Yeah.
This is about putting clues together.
Okay.
We're going to be talking a lot about 1700s and 1800s. All these dudes have the same name, Charles and George, and you name it. We need to know who the hell we're talking to. So I always look for that secondary clue. Like I said, the word inside was really vague. You're going to hear that out of my mouth a lot tonight. It's really vague. I'm going to discount it. It is not anything else unless something else coincides with it when I'm reviewing tomorrow morning. So again, I still look at every single term.
Test in the morning.
You do. So let's talk about the cameras. Let's kind of get those out of play. So again, with yours, it's going to be very hard to try to hide it if I do an Andy's coming type mentality. I'll usually say act casual, and that's when you're going to basically point it to the ground. Again, you're working with a lot of lights. Go ahead and point it at me. We're not working with lasers tonight with this guy, so really the only thing you need to know is if you accidentally brush it against your leg, it's going to blind me.
Whoa!
We're working with night vision.
Got it.
So we're not going to work with night vision. Why? Because that brings the attention from the other tourists. I already told you they already don't like me. And they like to come over to you and say, what's he got you doing now? You know that stuff is fake. Like they try to debunk stuff for me all the time without me knowing it.
Okay.
So we don't even bother with it.
Got it.
Everything else is perfectly running. There's a battery pack keeping everything charged.
Okay.
So basically, nice slow movements, the easier it is to watch things.
Blind bad. This is good.
Yes,
Got
got it. Your camera. So you're going to go ahead and point that guy. Well, you're going to try to do 2 things. You're going to try to keep one of us in view at all times. I know I told you don't point it at people. I mean people outside of us. The reason being is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. So we want that array of color. So again, we're literally going to be 97 and 99 degrees where it's 72 to 74 degrees ambient temperature.
Right.
So we want that array of color. It's much easier to see cold spots moving when we have a big range of color. Otherwise, go ahead and point it at that wall for me and watch what happens to the wall. It should turn red. Keep it there. Watch what happens to the wall. See how it turned blue?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we want that array of color. It's much easier to see things. The other thing you're going to try to do is try to keep the sky out. I know it's going to be difficult at times. It's that blue dot is going to default to the sky if it's in view, just because it's looking for a surface and there's nothing there. So again, some of these places it's going to be impossible. Just do your best. But again, nice slow movements out of both cameras should make some really great videos for all of us to watch after tomorrow. So again, I think I got everybody covered except for the motion meter, which we're going to talk about more at the next space. So, Spirit Boxes, have you guys heard anything coming out at all? I know, Karen, yours
They're
is
rolling. I'm not telling you anything.
Why?
No, that's
I
how
know.
Getting
it's
something for free.
interpreted. It's so staticky, I can't understand
I'm
what
getting
it's
something
saying.
for free.
You having a hard time with
What do
it?
you mean?
I don't know. This
Well, you
I
hear.
don't hear any
Just go into
words.
a
I hear a lot of static.
It's free.
Every once in a while, I hear
What's
something
I want
that
to
I
make sure
don't.
it's still moving.
You hear like a
What are they
like a
giving
beach
you?
shell, and then you
Um,
just something in the background. It's barely you can barely make out.
It's a whiff. You want to hear it?
No, I listen to them every morning.
Oh, okay.
So,
But I'm
But you know
trying
what
to
she's
listen.
Yeah.
and again, some people just have a hard time with it, which is perfectly fine. And again, I can always see what else we can come up with if you're going to have, that much of a struggle with it. Like, we're going to try one more space. If after that point you're still not getting anything out of it because it's just moving too fast, it's as slow as I can make it
I
at this
understand.
point. So we'll just get you something else to play with.
So I'm just
Should she be listening for something
like a word.
relative to what she's hearing now?
So again,
I mean-
I'm always going to give you clues whenever we're at these locations. So
Right.
over there was 47, New York, Giants, Big
Right.
John, anything
Right.
like that. Any of those terms pop
Right.
up. Over here, it's obviously red we're looking for. And I
Right.
said delivery, milk, eggs,
Right.
horses, anything relatable to that. But
I
again,
understand.
so even at the next space, I'm going to start withholding information purposely. So that way you're not going to know what to listen
Right.
for other than the questions I'm going to give you.
I understand.
So,
These numbers should be jumping around.
yep,
Correct?
that's the radio station.
Twice.
Free.
Free twice. I'm supposed to keep it aimed at somebody. Okay. But I didn't want the red and the fall.
Oh, I get it.
So that's why it's okay to control the volume. You need to focus on one or.
Right up.
Said, need help to anyone? I just heard something like, need help to anyone?
Perfect. Now you're getting the gist.
That's the first thing I've been able to make out.
Awesome.
I'm just getting something for you.
So, welcome to another beautiful site of Charleston, everybody. It's a parking lot. Yay! This space used to be something, which is why we're here. This place used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this lot facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And then Eliza's servants and slaves, their quarters were in the back of this space. So who the heck were these people? Eliza, well, first off, spirit boxes. I am not going to be giving you questions that you know the answers to, like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes. Again, genuine experience, right? No subliminal messaging. So, with that said, Charles and Eliza got married. Hang on, let me take a step backwards. Donna's got me all twisted up here.
I didn't say a word.
I know, that was the point. That's
didn't have to.
Eliza,
All I know is I'm getting free shit. I'm good.
Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. You guys see why I look for secondary clues now? The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than you, so let's move on. So, Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, the answer will not be 12 and 14, just so you know. The reason I bring this up is because Charles was over double her age when they married. So a pretty big age gap between the two of them. Now, they got married because her father, over in England, thought he was dying and he wanted to see all of his children one last time. He was trying to bring Eliza back home to England from here. She didn't want to go and she didn't believe he was dying, so she stayed put. Now, this is 1744. There's no such thing as marrying for a green card or citizenship. We're not even a country yet. So again, she married Charles out of love and did remain a widow even after his death. Remember, he's over double her age, so he went first. That being said, father got better, and he starts sending her gifts over from England to this space right where we're standing. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been here for more than an hour. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise you. Mm-hmm. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. That's how we still use it today. She didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them, so she learned from her slaves how to keep it cultivated, then moves it to a plantation that's north of here, calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going to hell, we can make a ton of money with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of. That's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are all here. So, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back-to-back, same year to Charles. First wife, Eliza, dies. 5 months later, he marries the one who plants the indigo. It's either really smart or really stupid, depending on how you look at it, fellas. So, with that said, all right. Both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. I don't think I have to explain what a maiden name is to this group. This is going to be awesome. There's going to be a lot of little things you're going to hear me joke about. The teenagers have no idea what a maiden name is. They think it's the middle name. Yeah, it happens all the time. Wow. So if you want to ask, see which Eliza we're dealing with, ask the maiden name. So far, we're dealing with 3 Charleses and 2 Elizas, just so we can keep count. There's going to be more commonalities coming up. The children, I told you there's at least one. His name was Charles, right? Signer of the Constitution. There are more. You can ask how many and their names. That's it. Why? Because there was a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop. So do we have any readings going on at all? I don't see anything. So again, that includes any readings we're going to get off the EMF meter at all. They will go down to 0 and all activity will stop and we won't.
She's running the muff meter.
The mansion's not here anymore.
She's running the muff meter?
EMF.
No, muff.
No, EMF.
I'm making a
Malicious
joke.
Noah.
Nick, I'm making a joke.
I know.
I was trying to be funny, you know? Muff, get
The
it?
mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it and what year that happened. Obviously, those are not yes or no questions. Eliza's death is where things get really open. You can ask her how old she was when she died, what did she die from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these are all very specific questions.
So we need to ask her. You just did.
Well, it depends on what you want to focus on. I gave you a lot of topics, and we don't know exactly who's here.
I just heard something say, it's awful.
Eliza, what U.S. president was your pallbearer?
So
Has to be Washington, right?
find out from the spirit boxes.
Oh.
I'm not going to reveal those
I'll
answers
ask
till before
again,
we leave.
Eliza, what U.S. president was your pallbearer?
You're the one with the spirit box. They're unmuted.
Oh, I can do that. Well,
Karen,
I hear you, girl.
so,
Hey, I got
laughing at you
So I
at
know
all.
She's a rookie.
It just
you. So am I.
Find me another
I'm
serial
total
replacement.
rookie.
This is why you guys
Gonna
keep me
start
around.
going and I don't know
Okay,
what
so
the
I
hell.
unmuted
That's why we
it,
hired
I
you,
don't
right?
Okay, so hang on. Let's everybody.
Eliza, what U.S. president was your pallbearer? Can you say that again, Eliza? I'm not sure what all that means.
And again, you're only going to hear about 10 to 12 terms tonight total. 2 hours time. That's all you're going to hear.
Okay.
So I'm
This
going
one
to.
doesn't record, so I...
No, we're going to rely on you.
Yes.
With that said, I got something else for you at this site only. We're going to be using what I call a trigger object. What's a trigger object? It's going to hopefully stir up some more activity. I have a vial of indigo seeds. You're going to handle this and you're going to keep it with you while you're trying to get answers out of her.
Okay.
So hopefully this has been the most effective with that device. And I just got this, so that's relatively new as well. So that's something new we've been trying out. So basically you're just going to carry it around as you ask questions. We are going to spread out in this lot. We're going to spend about 8 to 10 minutes here based on the amount of activity. If we get a lot, obviously we'll stay for a few extra minutes. We'll kind of see what happens. But again, we have a lot more spaces to go to. So it wasn't that I was overriding your joke, but I was overriding your joke so we can kind of get to the rest. Let's spread out, stay away from vehicles, and let's have some fun. Stay within the confines of this lot, please. I'm going to be bouncing around with all of you. That way I can find you all and hunt you down. I do need to show...
So, what are we doing?
Oh, yeah, bring that.
So we just walking around.
You're going to be filming nice and slow,
Okay.
listening in. If you want to take the other earbud from her and stick close to her, that way you guys can actually listen in together. You can do that. A lot of
How
times
long is
couples
it?
will do that.
Is it
You can
long?
pull it. Yeah, just spread it apart. Those cords. There you go. There you go. Perfect. See? 50 centers. That's why I buy them.
Most of it's just static.
Most of it will be. Again, it's all about those little tiny terms that are going to come through.
Something about family. Did you hear that? You didn't hear that?
You're yanking it out of my ear.
Oh, I didn't realize.
You struggling too?
Yeah, well, all I hear is static and just a little bit of background music or something. Or
can you make out anything that they're saying?
No.
No, not really.
Okay. Again, it's not easy. I know it's not easy.
So I should be concentrating on the background.
Whatever voices come through.
And if I can make out what it's saying. A word.
A word or a phrase. For example, like during holiday time, what color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. Obviously, I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need red. But I still heard the whole phrase. So sometimes that'll happen. I'm going to hand you guys off an EMF meter too, just so you guys have another focus. So that'll go to you. And that way, in the event, you guys are super struggling, even after this site, because you heard something so far, which is good.
Yeah, I have.
I haven't seen anything unexpected that I would not expect on the thermograph or whatever.
Okay. And again, a lot of that is going to come out of the review. So basically, anything that, well, obviously we have a little bit of something going off so far. It's going to measure the electromagnetic fields, the same thing as Sharon's device with the antenna.
Okay.
So again,
the higher the further the light goes.
Right. So you just need to tell me what colors you see, and I already have the measurements memorized, so that way you don't have to keep track of what this says. You just tell me what colors light up, and I'll be writing them down, and then comparing them to what Sharon has on hers.
Okay.
Is that fair?
So she can just say it.
Yeah, she can just tell me she saw yellow, she saw red.
Okay.
You know.
So could it also be relative to your position, like in this area? I mean, in other words,
there's
if you start walking somewhere and it starts climbing, that kind of thing.
But at the same token, I'm here 7 nights a week. I never get the same readings twice, and I never get them in the same area.
Okay.
They've never done an archaeological dig here.
Okay.
So there's nothing here that should make that thing go off.
Okay.
So, very interesting set of measurements that we use.
Sure.
So,
I used to own an optical alignment company, so I'm all about lasers and precision measurements and that kind of technology. But
I use that one to debunk a lot of things first, is what I do with that one. So with that one giving us blinkies, because it is a little bit more sensitive to the digital one that I handed out. So if that one's going to red, I should have at least about a 15 milligauss on the other one. This one's max is 25. Now the other one, I've seen it go all the way up to 214.
Gotcha.
So again, that thing's crazy. That ridiculous crazy, actually. But yeah, keep listening in. I'm going to follow up with everybody else.
Information is said.
No. Put your arm under it. Yeah, like that.
Cafe.
I can't make it out.
Nocturnal, that's something that said 30 minutes. Something roofing. Phillips ashes.
I'm having a hard time with it.
It's hard. It's annoying.
So much background noise.
I know. Sounded like ashes for sure. First step towards LASIK. We're going to have eye surgery now. Dress something.
Dress.
Dress.
Okay.
A lot. What about Charleston? This is stupid.
Yeah.
I think.
So,
Great something.
great. Yeah. Increase.
What happened to your house?
Say the word increase.
I must have been part of it.
There. Did you see it?
Yeah.
This thing's lighting up.
What colors you got?
It went up to
It went to
3.
yellow.
Okay.
It went to the second one and the third one.
That's good. That one's not as sensitive as the previous one I had, which is actually kind of nice because the other one would just go crazy all the time, and you couldn't really get a good base.
There it goes again. It went all the way up to the third
There it
one right
is.
There
there.
it is. Hi, Eliza. Make something nice, loud, and clear on one of these boxes. We're having a little bit of trouble with these boxes tonight. You got to make things nice and clear. We're particularly interested in the president that was the pallbearer at your funeral. Can you tell us who that was? Use any of the boxes. No, we don't care. Or if you can just get close to this box with the lights on it and make it go to red. Make it go all the way to red for us. You know how these boxes work.
We've heard white dress. We've heard increase.
See?
We've heard Charleston.
Charleston I take out just because you're listening to Charleston radio stations. So white dress, and what was the other one?
Increase.
Increase.
What was another one? One more word.
One more quick round robin and that's what was all done.
Resources. Resource.
Let's come on over back to the wall, guys.
The resources.
Resources.
Music, that's the word, that's my radio.
Is that those lights gone any higher than yellow?
Yes.
The mid-range? You got
I'm
like
crazy to purple.
purple?
Yeah. Yeah, but
You get a lot of blue here.
the highest number I got was 8.3.
What was it?
8.3 was the highest number.
That's a good
And
reading.
it's gone to purple a lot.
And we've gotten a 15 milligauss. I did bring out the K2 meter, just so that way they kind of had an extra one because we're struggling with these spirit boxes a little bit. So we did get a 15. I'm seeing some blue show up there. So we can go ahead. Let's kill these videos. Go ahead and hit the red square on your screen, and then Robert already showed you where yours is. Perfect. You're good. I can see it stopped already.
Oh, okay. So it's still on the screen.
Yep. Yeah, leave it on. The battery pack's keeping it going. So.
You want it on now, right?
no.
Yeah, it's going out.
No.
Axe 4.
And I've always like, you know, not on purpose, but I mean, like, because I'm slicing that bad, and I'm, you know, I'm like,
Yes, we're in the Bible, but not just not Baptist. Like all like you're just static, but Ben came through loud and clear. Hi Ben.
We're gonna get into it.
I heard it, Ben.
All right, so we're definitely gonna put yours on mute because we're in a quiet area. There's little tiny signs all over because we're next to a hotel. So again, we're not gonna spend a lot of time here. But what other names did we hear besides Ben? I'm so stoked. I'm gonna explain why in a moment.
Axe,
Axe.
A-X-E, and
Well, yours
hole.
is on a list.
She doesn't live with you.
Yeah.
Worship
Okay.
you and God. And it wasn't all together.
Okay. We're getting close to St. Philip's. It's pretty common to get religious terms around the church because it is our tallest steeple. So let's talk about this space. So when we crossed over that last crosswalk where we were waiting on that Uber girl to let her person out, that's where the original Charlestown wall used to be. So you're inside the original Charlestown city. Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. It was fortified with this giant brick wall around it. This is one of the first streets we ever had, which is why I like to bring you down here. Not a lot of tours like to come down here. I don't know why, but I absolutely love it because it's perfect for what we are doing. They're trying to tell like boot head stories and whatever down here. We're going to get into the actual history. So,
When we were at that intersection, this thing went 4 lines up to the
yeah,
orange.
it's because of the crosswalk.
Oh.
The electrical lines are underneath the
Okay.
sidewalks. That's why I said ignore your readings. You're not. It's false positives. So people used to live down here. These 2 giant buildings weren't here, so little tiny shotgun houses. So again, people lived here. And when I say people lived here, I'm only talking like 4 to 6 people at a time. So let's tell you why I was asking you for names. I have the full list of residents of every single person that's ever lived down here. It's not a lengthy list. It's about 2 pages long. It breaks it up by what their job was, and what year they lived here. The 2 names I commonly get, Benjamin and John. Now, here's where things get a little weird. So, both Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. There were 4 different Johns that lived in Lodge Alley over like a 70-year time span. If we need to know which one it is, that specific John will often give us his last name, which is Johnson. Yes, his name was John Johnson. There's a lot of common, like, double names in this area. So, Alexander, you know, that kind of thing. But Benjamin and John come up every 6 to 7 weeks. Yeah, that's probably from the building behind you. So, again, when it's steady like that, it's still a rhythm. So, again, we don't look for rhythms.
Okay.
It's all about the erraticism of it. But Benjamin and John, every once in a while I'll get a 3rd name that pops up. That name is Jane. I have nothing significant about 1801 that happened down here, other than I get the same names every 6 to 7 weeks. We are still within that 6 to 7 weeks, even though I had both Benjamin and John show up last week. It's not uncommon to hear that more than once. With that Benjamin that showed up last week, the name Simmons came up with it in the same voice. So it said Ben Simmons. This used to be called Simmons Alley before Lodge Alley. So I was like, oh, holy shit, moment. I was pretty stoked. But the fact that we heard Ben, again, I didn't say Ben at any point in time tonight, so it was not a subliminal message. Great job on you. I'm stoked for that. That's like the best thing we've gotten so far. Now, they did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks. They found some of these people's tools, their silverware, their clothing, that kind of thing. They classified them as lower class. It makes sense. The other side of the wall would have been on the other side of East Bay Street, which means the smell of low tide would be coming through here quite often. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with that. So if you've noticed down at the back where the houses are skinny in the front and they go long backwards, we're that way for 2 reasons. First off, it helps keep the smell of low tide from coming into the home. We have piazzas here. That's a front porch with a door. So basically the smell of low tide stops it at the door. So they would open up the 2nd story window and allow the cool air to come in through the top story, and it actually, cool air drops, heat rises. It was old school air conditioning. The other reason they actually kept the houses skinny in the front is because you were taxed based on how much street side you took. Skinnier house means less taxes. So The Pinckney mansion that I just showed you was outside the city walls, and it was broad against the street on purpose. The Pinckneys had money. They didn't give a damn about taxes. They were politicians and indigo farmers. They had money. It was bragging rights to be able to show off their house. I just like to point that out because somebody tried to call me out on that. That Pinckney house, that was all the way across the street. Yeah, but they were rich. They didn't care.
They like to brag that they had money.
Right, exactly.
That was one way.
Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodging, hence the name Lodge Alley. We do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons from time to time. I can't put a spin on it, on this whole, loop thing that I'm getting. I'm going to explain that here in a moment. But we do get things like Freemason, Mason. I've even heard Illuminati quite a few times down here. First off, who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? And that's what's coming through. Second off, why am I only hearing it when I'm in this space? Just going to put it out there. Here's why I think I'm hearing those names on a loop every 6 to 7 weeks. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These are made straight from granite. If you know anything about the paranormal, you've heard the term limestone before. Limestone is straight from the earth. It's said to stir up activity. This is also straight from the earth, but it's been here for a couple of 100 years. It's hanging on to the consciousness of the memories and basically spitting it back to us every 6 to 7 weeks through electronics, it's called the stone tape theory. Kind of like that loop that you had mentioned earlier, same thing. So again, stone tape theory, there's a lot of proof behind it. I'm hoping that I can hopefully add this to that, to other scientists that have actually studied this before. This is a very interesting alley, and I can't put an exact pinpoint on the days that I'm going to hear Benjamin and John coming out of spirit boxes. So, very interesting space indeed.
It'd be hard not to come here like constantly.
Every night.
Yeah, every night.
Yeah, that's what I do every night.
Yeah,
waiting.
wow.
And I keep track of moon phases. I keep track of where we at in the loop, that kind of thing. But yeah, we are in that, this is like the 7th week of that 6 to 7 week loop from the last time that I got them. Pretty strong, as strong as we did tonight. So we are going to go to another alley. However, I cannot take you through it like what we're doing now. I've been kicked out. You guys have the blinky lights and the flashing lights and all that kind of stuff. So it is considered residential at the end. So I'm going to explain more on how I got booted out of there, because yes, I did get kicked out. Once we go and see the space. However, us talking about it and discussing it outside of the space still stirs up a lot of activity, and we will get activity from that space through the remainder of the night. From that space on, because we're not going to go very far from there. There's a lot more to go on, but again, we still get a lot of clues relative to that space as we get close to it, and even through the rest of the evening. So, as we exit the alley, we're going to stop all video, because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to be able to get to that next alley. So you know where your record button is, you know where yours is. Spirit boxes, obviously I want you to continue to listen. And yours, we can go ahead and use yours, Karen, as well. We're going to keep it on. Yeah, we can go ahead and unmute it.
Robert?
To the next space.
Robert.
Yeah, I think there's 2 Roberts that were down here. I don't have it fully memorized, so I always
don't
look
know.
into it. But I'm going to give
I
you
like
that
to
full list.
shout out a name.
But you're going to see that full list. I'm going to give you the link so you guys can check it out for yourself. Because again, obviously the name Ben is very
Wow,
prominent.
that's pretty impressive.
So let's go through the rest of this alley and see if we capture. You don't need to stop it yet. I want you, actually the videos, if you want to, if you want to hang back for 5 to 10 seconds and just get a view of the empty alley. As we all exit, we're going to go across the street and make a right. Because if we go left, I get a ticket because it's a neighborhood. So we're not going to do that, right?
Robert was British.
British.
British are coming.
Probably shouldn't have worn flip-flops.
Yeah. Bricks are hard on your feet.
Granite, mind you. I think the middle maybe. Yep. He's got something going on. How about you? Anything cold? Right there, he seems to slow down.
Up there's a real cold spot. Up high.
Wow. Oh, wow, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it's really cold. I don't know.
Where's that? Maybe get closer to him.
It's really cold. It's dark, dark blue.
Whoa. Hey, Robert, are you getting something? Oh, it's very cold and dark above, you.
It just went away.
And it just went away.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Red dot solid is you're not recording.
Look here. Is that just from the neighborhood?
Building.
How'd you get kicked out?
We're going to get into that. All right, so hang on. You guys had a couple of terms. So cold. Execute was on the list. I don't have to write that one down. And you said 3?
I don't know if it's free or 3. Maybe nothing. I don't know. I question myself sometimes.
Okay. I always write down both because you just never know. I don't know that either one of those terms is relative to this, so we'll kind of see what happens. All right. I'm going to give you a sitting spot the next chance. Over here, the cars get really close. Like you're going to end up getting hit.
That ain't good.
I'm not joking.
Do you want to sit? You want to sit
There's
right
a little
here?
ledge right here.
You can sit back here.
Let's do that. Again, safety always is major concern.
Don't let me touch it.
Yeah, the next spot is actually a sitting spot. You guys get the chill.
Seemed like there was a really cold spot back there in the alley after everybody backed out when he was still in there. And it was just above him. I don't know the distance, but it was.
I'll definitely take a look.
And
It
then
was very dark blue, if not close to
it
black.
was getting closer to him. Almost,
Yeah, and it got bigger and bigger.
It was wild.
I didn't point it up high or nothing. It was just in the distance.
Just straight on. So if we had something growing, that's obviously something I'll be able to catch. Granted, you were recording, so gotta make sure he's recording all the time. All right, so the space behind me. This is Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston, which is one of the reasons why we stop here. We named it Philadelphia Alley after dueling became illegal and stupid, and we named it after one of the cities that saved us from one of our many, many fires that I discussed earlier. So I don't know which one specifically. There's a plaque down there that'll probably tell you which one. But we all tell the story. And by the way, video cameras, people will be walking by. We're going to be very discreet with cameras, as basically not YouTubers. So he's like, I don't care. I'm going to film everybody. Love it.
Here
but
comes
anyway,
some people. You see that, right?
the other tours actually go down this alley,
Right across from you.
because that's as far as we're allowed to go. So again, we're going to see a lot of bigger tours tonight. Maybe it's getting late. I think. Yeah, it's 10:20. I normally don't look at time, but we should start seeing at least a couple of groups of 20 coming by. Now, at Dueler's Alley, we all tell the story of one specific duel because it actually happened, and we can actually prove that it happened. So here's how it goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with this cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after her money, so he tells her to get rid of the doctor. He moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after her cash and to start his practice down here. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs. And I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because you guys are ghost hunting. This isn't just a ghost story. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. Ralph Isaacs. R.I. shows up here all the time. If anything else, we do just an R. But we always need the secondary clue so we know who it belongs to. So, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a gunman inside that's trying to steal your money. You feeling okay? You're getting pretty red, honey.
Yeah, okay. I'm okay.
Okay, just wanted to check up on you.
Yeah.
I know I kind of got you all to quiet down as I started telling. Oh. So, where was I? So, Ralph was trying to save the doctor, right?
Right.
He says, I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can actually rent a room from them and you'll be good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making his own money now. Amanda's moving down soon. He became known as the Whistling Doctor. It's the late 1700s. Yes, he whistled all the time because it was a thing. Now, I will tell you that every haunted city you will ever go to has a cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor. Just go with it. So that's how it works. So what happens from there is Ralph and the doctor go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. It's just a hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. They go see William III from Shakespeare one night. No tour guide will be able to ever tell you which theater. They'll claim that they know, but there were dozens at the time. You can't find it anywhere. But they start arguing about the new actress. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. It gets even uglier when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways after screaming at each other. Ralph is from here. He puts an ad in the newspaper, because he has friends there, telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this nasty ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. They come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to this fight, which is often what happened at a duel.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't always have a dead guy at the end. So, Ralph still has his one shot. Sorry, Donna. Puts it in the kneecap on the doctor, so the doctor doesn't die either, and Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed and not willing to forgive. The doctor's friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to heal, bleed it out himself, so kind of keep that in mind. Here's the ghost story part of the tale, is that as you walk through this alley, they say you can hear the whistles from the doctor. I used to take my groups all the way through there until I got booted out, which I'm getting to. Hold your horses. So, but it was all about listening to the voice recorder. It was always turn the spirit boxes down. We weren't using the earbuds yet, and that kind of thing. Do I have some that I can't debunk? I absolutely do. But if you're going to go down there and turn on the voice recorders from your phone, keep in mind every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side, down the alley every single time, every single night on my way home. We're going to end right up there where those lights are, and my garage is right there. So again, I pass the alley. If my daughter's on the tour, my youngest, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So again, it's just something fun that we both do. Just kind of keep that, and especially since I got booted out of there, I definitely want to throw off the other tours. Because again, the stuff I have, there's always a whistler. They also say you can hear gunshots down there, but I don't have any proof of that, just so you guys know. Let's get into why I got booted out, because that's what everybody's interest seems to be on.
No.
November 26th, 2020. Yes, I remember the date. It's pertinent. At the end of this alley, the bricks are older. Why? Because the alley didn't always come all the way through to this Cumberland Street side. So the other side, those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. Obviously, I love history, and I used to love to show off the history of how far we've come by, there's a handprint and full fingerprint swipes in those bricks. And I would show them off, just to show people how far we've come. Everybody wants to put an EMF meter near it, or a spirit box. That brick is not being stared at by that poor kid in the afterlife. I treat it the same way I do a grave. However, one night, November 26th, 2020, my group decides they're all going to huddle around this one little tiny brick with the little tiny handprint right outside the gentleman's dining room window. He was not very happy. He was tired of watching me come in night after night after night, and I was in the wrong. I was the new guy on the block. I played that card. But he come out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting screamed at. And it was, of course, we're at mask time, so he didn't have a mask on, so my group attacked him with masks. November 27th was Thanksgiving of that year, so I did not have a tour. Again, new guy. I'm going to take holidays off. I own the company. I can do what I want. And so the next day was November 28th, 2020. I get a phone call from the tourism office asking me to either go down halfway like every other tour or reroute. I decide I'm going to reroute. Why? Because I don't really know much about that area, but I'm going to tell what I know about the pirate story that's up there. I didn't even believe the pirate story because I'm a vampire guy through and through. I'm not a pirate guy. So here's what happened. I tell my team, we're going to wing it. I'm going to tell you what I know. We'll see what happens. You're going to give me some evidence. Tickets were much cheaper back then. I can't wing it now. So with that, I go up there, and along the way, before I even tell these folks who I'm going to be discussing, somebody hears the name Ann come through on a spirit box. Gotta be kidding me. We get up there, I'm telling them what I know about Ann Bonnie, and somebody hears the number 300. I don't know exactly what 300 is. Again, I have to research more in the morning. We were there November 28th, 2020. Ann Bonnie's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial.
Wow.
So again, I take my groups there every single night now. I've probably read 40 to 50 books on pirates, I'm not lying. I take a lot of notes because there's holes in every single book that I pick up. You just never know. It is a hit or miss location. It is our last location. So if we get anything there and Ann is actually there, we'll actually have quite a bit going on. If not, I'll know we're dead in the water. No pirate pun intended, but maybe it was. Who knows? So we're going to go to our next stop. it is kind of a sit-down spot, so you can actually get to chill for a minute. In the event you guys hear things on your spirit boxes, fantastic. If not, I'll go to my normal go-to stories and get us prepped for the Pirate and Bonnie at the end, and we'll deep dive into her like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site a little bit further, because that story is crazy. And by that point, you guys should all know how to use your devices, so there's not a whole lot of questions I can actually give you. So it's a very interesting space. So let's head up to our next spot. Video recorders, if you want to continue recording, by all means do so. It's your tour, but let's go have a blast. Let's go. David was also one of the 5 names from Lodge Alley. But Lucas, what's Eliza's maiden name?
Oh, yes.
I know you're probably thinking we're too far away for that right now.
No,
her husband is buried right behind me.
Oh.
We've been getting a lot more terms around Eliza over here, which has been very weird. So, let's talk about real quick why we're here, and then I'm going to have you guys have a seat. So, I want you to stay seated. So that wall behind it, to my right, is the wall to Philadelphia Alley that we just discussed. There is a gate right in the middle of it. It has a wrought iron gate on it, just like this. And that was for, remember, the alley didn't always go all the way through. So if there was a loser to the duel, meaning a dead guy, they would actually use that as a shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me. And otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down Queen Street. You guys seen how long the alley was, and then come back around. So basically, they're taking double the amount of steps with dead weight, literally, to be able to bring him to the cemetery. So again, that's what I call the death gate, but the doctor never actually went through it. So he may have when they carried him home, but because we're on Church Street. So go ahead and have a seat, and then you guys can tell me what you've heard.
Well, you haven't gone.
Oh, it is here. That's mine. It's me. My north before.
What was it?
North.
North and south.
Yes.
Interesting.
I know, right?
That
I
would-
was thinking the same thing.
That
when
would
I
be
just
relevant
saw
at like Boone
civil.
Hall. So it's just I seen she had like blinking lights.
I guess.
Like, you don't need to turn that on.
Okay.
You're on your way to the next stop. All right. So nothing that I hear that's because again, there's like 15 stories along this corner. Now you guys took Mike's tour last night, so unfortunately, I'm going to tell you a different version of your big hurrah that you guys had with him at the end, because I know he ends at this church. So every tour. Ghost tour will stop up at this cemetery on purpose. So I like to at least tell you what's going on, but I let them have it. It's their show and tell. Like, it's their big finale, right? So with that, yeah, I let them have it. It's cool. You guys have all the gear. They don't. They have a tablet. So, and I love Mike, but he has a tablet. So, there's 2 different sides to the cemetery. So this one is if you're from Charleston and you belong to the church, you can actually get buried on this side. This is the eastern side. The western side is for everybody else. Like I said, Charles Pinckney, along with the nephew, is buried on this side because they're both from here. Your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, he's buried across the street because he's not from here. And he actually shuffled his ass back and forth trying to figure out if he actually belonged here or not. Turns out he's not from here. He just lived here a very long time. So that side is usually open during the daytime, so you guys can actually go check that out. Again, whenever there's like a president or vice president, you know, they have to make it open and available to the public. So but you guys came across this way, and then we ended up
today.
Today we were on another tour, and we were inside of the cemetery. I see the over here. Either this one or
you went to the circular church up there. Past the
we did go there too. We actually was in 2 different cemeteries.
That's where we were at the second one.
So here's the reason why every tour stops up there. So there's a sign inside the gate that says, "There's no ghost here, but the Holy Ghost."
Right. I read that sign.
There's a reason for it. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. Now, I just told you about initials with Ralph Isaacs in Rhode Island, so initials obviously mean something. Sue Howard Hardy, it's cheesy, it's campy. I hate telling you this, but it comes up all the time. So, I get teenagers all the time to put both earbuds in and say, "Someone just shushed me." Like, damn it, Sue? But anyway, it's her initials, SHH. It just happens all the time. I've even seen it come up on the word list before. It's just SH. Interesting. It is what it is. So, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. That's pretty much the end of her story. Local photographer in 1987, 99 years later, is taking pictures of our cemeteries. He captures a full apparition in one of his photographs as he's developing it himself. It's 1987. He doesn't have the tech to be able to figure out what's going on. He sends it over to Kodak. I don't have to tell you guys what Kodak is.
That's the story we heard today.
Kodak can't debunk it either. So, for guys like me, this thing is gold, right? For every other ghost tour in town, it's their big finale. Obviously, it's good, but the picture is cursed. don't know if Mike told you this or not.
No.
Females that handle it, even in a digital format, you're probably going to have the same symptoms like what I told you about at the beginning, the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females, probably not going to have a good pregnancy. I am not going to be the guy where somebody had a great vacation and 9 months later I cursed your family. Do not touch my tablet. I'm going to go down the line so everybody can see the picture. You guys probably already saw it with Mike. I don't know if he zoomed in on it for you, but it is a very interesting picture. Again, you're getting a full ghost hunting 101 with all kinds of different styles of ghosts and apparitions.
Not today.
Craziness.
Last night.
Was it Mike?
Yeah.
So, this is the
He
full
didn't have
photograph that he
anything
took.
today.
The apparition that he took is right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
You're
saw
looking at
her.
her back. She's praying over her own grave with the baby basket next to her.
Mm-hmm.
Should be the same picture
Yes.
I showed you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The baby basket next to her.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the full picture.
Oh, that's creepy.
And then the baby basket next to her. This is probably another instance where the baby's buried with mom.
Right.
Right.
So what I'm actually researching right now is because she obviously was married, I'm trying to find where they lived. So the records, the census records that particular year are a little off. So there's like that one span where like pieces of it are missing. So I would actually like to find out where they lived and actually add it to the tour to kind of see,
Right.
do you know what I mean? Kind of take it away from, hey, we went to their house, then we actually went to go see the actual ghost. So
She died 6 days after the baby, right?
Sue Howard Hardy. Now, something actually pops up in relevance to this story. I always put a warning on the link to be able to prove it so that the ladies aren't clicking on it on their phones, tablets, or whatever. Use a computer, have a significant other, or a mail show you the link. Because if I have to put something in there where the information relates to what the evidence is, sometimes that picture is attached to it. If it's not attached, I just, obviously give you the link. Because there's other instances.
Anything horrible was right before it.
No, not to my knowledge. Unless there's a Matthew in one of these cemeteries that I don't know about. Not saying that it's not relevant, I just don't know what it is. Let's get your mindset going on pirates. So that way we can go deep dive into Anne Bonny across the street. So do you guys see the burning gas lamp off in the distance there? That's the pirate house. Has a big anchor on the front of it. Somebody lives there. Don't go in his backyard looking for ghosts either. He also gets pissed, and don't ask me how I know. It's just one of those instances where I have to poke around. That's where something just came up out of there. That's where Blackbeard's men came off their ships, had a place to stay, and they would actually meet with a few ladies. The cool thing is that they dug a tunnel underneath that pirate house going 1 block away to Dock Street Theater. Dock Street Theater at the time was called Planter's Hotel. It was a whorehouse, playhouse, and a hotel. Talking about pirates. Whorehouse was an attraction, right?
Right.
But the playhouse was the main reason why they went there. Pirates were our first stagehands. They would go there to work, in between bartering with the locals, making a few extra bucks. So that tunnel was just filled in the 1990s. Why the hell it took us so long to fill it in, I have no clue, because we are below sea level. So I'm sure it flooded quite a bit. Rumor had it that Blackbeard buried some of his treasure there. I call bullshit, because we all know that that treasure is in North Carolina, not South Carolina. So if you know anything about pirate history, he's not here. The only time that I know that Blackbeard actually spent any time here was to go seek that medicine for his syphilis from whatever wife he picked it up from, because I want to say he had 4 wives total. If I'm not mistaken. So, again, that's the only time, but he did make a deal with one of the governors that was here at the time, so it's a very interesting tale about Blackbeard. But again, all of the details are very fuzzy. There's not a whole lot of history on his time in Charleston here. So, you guys all ready to go deep dive into Anne Bonny? Let's get you guys up off your butts. Let's go investigate over here. Something definitely came through on yours. I'm hoping the audio is working. Your camera picked it up.
Firehouse is your house. Yeah, really. I have to admit, we never needed our sweaters, did we? I'm so sweaty.
I carry his backpack around. I'm just glad you guys lightened it up. You still need to sit down, sweetheart?
I really do. I was going to hand this over to
Nope,
someone.
we got a spot over here.
Okay.
We're going to go sit down.
Thank you. Oh, we're taking it over. I don't have a good idea where we are.
This is actually where I normally, take you guys to the back water where we have the space on the building, but this only gives me just like so. Huh? No, you're gonna get to work. Sit down. Come on, have a seat. This is the last big walker. This is my favorite.
Oh,
That's why I take the backpack off.
hey.
This one I get a little animated.
For those earthquake.
Let me do my job.
Oh, I
Sit
didn't know
down.
that was part of it.
I just came through here on another
All right, so welcome to the Powder Magazine. So we're here for a couple of different reasons, but I'd like to talk about the building first. Obviously, she pointed out that those are earthquake bolts and not crosses. What are earthquake bolts? They're basically turnbuckles. In the event we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886 that we talked about at the very beginning, which we haven't, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So the reason I bring these up is because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in.
Oh.
And what year did they put them in? Do you know?
That was the 1891, I believe. The reason they did this building first is because it's the oldest government building in South Carolina. This is the Gunpowder Magazine. It served in 7 different wars, including the Civil War. That was its last servant. It is a museum now, so if you're into artillery and war uniforms, it will show you every war that it ever served in. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's cheap. So if you ever need to get out of our heat or our cold temperatures, this is the place to go. It's like $5. Wow. Anyway, not an advocate for it, just love this building. I also did not believe a pirate story around this, so kind of keep that in mind. And everything I'm about to tell you about the pirate story is things that were common among the different books that I've read. I took a lot of notes to be able to piece this together for y'all. I told you all about the Charlestown Wall earlier, right? So the Charlestown Wall was where that parking garage is right now. So went up past the Powder Magazine and started going to your right, going south towards the battery. So this building is literally locked into the corners of the walls on purpose. If it gets attacked from the water behind me 3 blocks away from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship, those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls that make up this building. Again, it's holding gunpowder. In the event that that cannonball actually goes through, we're going to pretend that it does, and it blows up. There is sand underneath those red shingles from the early 1700s that's supposed to blow up in the air with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire from the gunpowder.
Oh.
That's another great idea that doesn't work.
Oh.
We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It did get attacked. It's because it's closer to the water, if you know our geography. And the sand went up and the building ended up burning to the ground. So again, it doesn't exist anymore. This one's just never been attacked. So we're here because this building is what I call a familiar. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. Anne Bonny was here during the same time frame that this building was being constructed. This building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. So 1703 to 1713 is the construction time. Our story begins in 1708. You gotta follow me, there's a lot of twists. So Robbie might want to move in on this one. This one gets a little crazy. So, young lady moves here in 1708.
Is there someone behind that machine? I keep seeing something. Maybe it's just the glass.
There's a glare.
On the glass?
I think it's the leaf reflection from the street light in the tree.
Okay. Sorry.
You're
Go
good.
ahead, Dan.
Dan?
Anyways.
Back to 1708.
Yes.
Young lady moves here from Ireland. She's with her father and his mistress. Her name is Anne Cormack. The mistress happens to be her mother. Is everybody with me so far? Okay, the 3 of them are running away from his wife. How pissed was she? Just saying. So they land in Georgetown. They didn't make it to Charleston. They landed in Georgetown just north of here. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here. You're not recording, by the way, Robert. You might want to hit that button again. I can see you're not blinking. All that great footage you just took too. Nice and slow. So he has to send young Anne down here to Charleston to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say when she was like 10 or 12 years old, she killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. Sorry, Karen, now I'm killing you. So, who did I shoot in the knee earlier? Was that Donna? Yeah, I shot you already. So I'm killing 2 people. But anyway, I want you to keep that mentality of Anne as I'm telling you the rest of this story so you guys know what kind of person she is. Now we're going to fast forward. This building's done in 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne's pretty stoked. She's going to fall in love pretty quickly. This guy's name is James Bonny. kind of see where this is going already. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, the most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Her career started right where we're standing. Now, when you get down there, James Bonny is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that everybody hopes for, right, when they're marrying a pirate. This guy's a privateer. He's basically a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wanted. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. I'm going to keep track for you. Guy number 2 turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Yes, it's the same Jack that Jack Sparrow is actually based off of. And Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a crew. Girls curse pirate ships. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you could be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's the way it's going to go. She's okay with this cross-dressing because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy to keep her away from his wife back home in Ireland. She's like, all right, I'm a pirate. Let's do this. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew.
Right.
Somebody's going to figure it out, right?
No
So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. She goes and has the baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. She's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty mad. She doesn't give a damn about hiding her gender anymore. While she was away giving birth to her, firstborn, Jack captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, just like it got to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. 2 females now on the same ship doing the exact same thing. Yes, I practiced that in front of the mirror. So, that's the way I do it. So, this young lady's name is Mary Reed. Now, she convinces Mary to become part of the crew. Now they're friends, possibly lovers. We'll never know for sure. Because, of course, there's always that speculation. And the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. They're obviously going to get taken. As they're being arrested by the British, she looks at her bow and captain, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here quite often. That's cool. Now, the judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. My name shows up here for several reasons, but this one in particular, especially when we have other terms relative to Anne. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly by themselves after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken sailors that wouldn't come up and fight. So Anne and Mary go in front of the judge. They reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. They're trying to save themselves. They're still pirates in his eyes. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said to the judge, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. I know the story gets long. You're looking at me like, man, that goes on forever.
I'm waiting.
I'm waiting for the big hurrah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
She goes back to jail, but Dad is still here in Charleston with his Irish money. He was an attorney back home in Ireland. He bails her out. She remarries. That's husband number 2, guy number 4. Has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. Told you, all my stories end abruptly with death. What happened to Mary Reed, you might ask? She died in 1721 in the Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. It was probably scurrilous and bumpy and gross and whatever else you want to come up with. I have to think about it, unfortunately, every single night. So, I left out 2 things on purpose for you Spirit Box folks, because you already know what you're asking non-yes or no questions, but I did leave out the name of Calico Jack's ship. You can ask what that is, and the name of Anne Bonny's parents, purposely. I know them for a fact, because there's not many facts about Anne Bonny. So that would obviously be the father and the mistress if you want to ask what the parents' names were. Everything else is fair game. Ask whatever the hell you want to. As far as the cameras, if you want to go around to the front to be able to, get some footage of the front, you can. However, I did tell you all at the beginning of this that people have passed out on my tours. This is the spot where it's actually relative to the story. So give me another minute of your time before I spread you guys out. Okay. Back in September, it was a little bit cooler than this night, I'll say that. And I take my group to the back ivy wall where I normally take my groups. And the kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost. Yes, that pun was intended. And I have to pick him up by the armpit, like he's going to fall and hit his head on the ground. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side of him. We bring him to this setting so he can sit down. I send the boyfriend over with a couple of dollars across the street to the vending machines to bring him some water. He comes back, the dude's feeling better. I then tell the story. It's important to know when I told it. They had no idea what was going on. I send everybody out to play with their devices, go have some fun, last hurrah. They pull me aside. I have to tell you something. What's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary on the tour.
Oh my.
I'm a good writer, but I can't make this shit up. So, again, they are perfectly fine with me telling this story to y'all every single night, and I think they even left it in one of the reviews that their friend got sick. So it's kind of like, all right, at least you put it out there. But at the same token, this is stuff I can't make up, guys. This is why I put that heated warning at the beginning. Luckily, I didn't have to call the paramedics that night, but I've had to call paramedics in the past. Usually, psychics and mediums don't make it past the Pinckney Mansion site. The Pinckney Mansion site is usually hot with EMF activity and a lot of spirit box work. Unknowingly, that I had a psychic the first time somebody was actually on the tour as an actual psychic medium practicing, I gave them a spirit box. It was way too much for them to handle. I think I gave their partner an EMF meter, obviously a much lower tech at that time, but yeah, she dropped like a wet noodle. Almost instantly from the time we walked into the space. I've had a heart attack happen in there before. I've had people with their right leg to the point where it's almost immobilized, like where they can't walk. And that's relative to Thomas, who got shot in his left leg, because I had to look that up. Like, why do I have people with their right leg keep burning when I need to see if it's relative to when Thomas got shot from the British, right, during the Battle of Camden. So again, lots of relative things have happened during my tours. But hopefully, what we're not dealing with tonight is from any kind of paranormal activity. So again, we're going to have some fun in here. We're going to spread out a little bit. EMF detectors, the closer we get to the bushes and these corners, the higher we're going to get, just because of obviously the electricity coming off of those wirings.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, let's spread out. Cameraman, if you're going to be in the front, just make sure you're not in the way of other tours. That's the only thing I ask. Just kind of wait your turn. Yeah, so you can either jump over the wall there, or you can actually exit the lot and walk around if you want. You can put your cameras right in there if you want to. Just don't drop them. Obviously, I won't be able to retrieve them. So, but yeah, turn those things up, and then I'm going to hang out here. I could do that.
Oh, you too. I have to. He might. I don't know.
What do you want me to do?
Her aunt can't hold that anymore.
Oh.
I'm gonna go sit with her. She's
Yeah,
not great.
she's not feeling well.
It's her back. It could, you know what these are. Yeah.
No.
Not really.
In the EMF, so stay. Oh, maybe I should tell him.
Yeah.
Next.
I don't need to do anything, just hold it.
Yeah. Let me tell him, I guess. Because he said to stay away from the wires. I don't know. I'll let him know. I got somebody said, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I knew. I looked it up. Pictures of everything, traced everything. I knew we were gonna finish it out on magazine.
Oh, I gave her. She can't walk around, so.
Anything I need to do with this, or?
I gave it
To me, I know, but I
She wants to stay
turn
here
that
with
one
her.
on.
Yes,
Back.
I'm going to hang out here. But yeah, if any numbers pop up above 2.5, like just be mindful if because you have a camera and you go to the front, the parking meters are going to make that go off, so you can ignore the readings.
Okay.
And I've gotten like REM pod activity over here. If we want to keep it here, it's up to you guys. Whatever you want to do.
No, I just figured I'd let somebody else walk around with it and just see.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know.
if you get anything above 2.5 that's not close to the bushes or on the street, we'll see what happens.
Do I need to say it, or just keep an eye on it when
Just
it
keep an
does
eye on it, and
Okay.
then when we regroup, just let us know.
Okay. It's 2.5 right now. 2.6. 2.8. 3.1. 3.2.
What do you think? Drop a big blade right there and cut your head off? Crazy. Well, the pill rate, can't read that far from here, can you? All I read But this stuff over here doesn't look like good equipment. But there's a folding chair behind it. So I'm trying to figure out, you think that's new? I don't know.
Don't drop what he said.
Right? See it? Maybe. Yeah.
I don't see anything.
That's a shit.
Your brain's really cold. Blue.
Most probably. That's because it's bored. My brain's bored.
3.9. Oh. 3.3. 3.5.
So this is a museum.
It's a powder magazine. It's where they
Powder
kept
magazine. It's where they kept the gunpowder.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. We didn't find any in this cemetery yet.
Oh, this is the gun place.
Thank you. You know, $6 at the stupid store named Ross. Yeah. Seriously, I have like $100
Carl.
Hopefully going to start doing round robins of all the hotels and actually do an investigation, because this all started with a podcast. That's how actually I got recruited out of my 6-figure job. Was somebody listened to my podcast that was starting a new tour company that didn't want licensed guides. So he wanted something different. So when I told you I started with just a few devices, I was like, let's see how it goes. Keep it nice and small. I was taking like 5 to 7 people out at a time. Worked out really well. And then I got away from him after I learned what I could from him. And I mean, the name Stories in a Cemetery was the name of the podcast first.
Oh,
but,
wow.
But it was already mine. So, I mean, there was no hard feelings. He still helps me out because he's a historian.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, if I have a question about a certain location or something I'm trying to expand off to, like, he's always there to kind of help me out.
That's nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I could see that. You were also probably close to, like, Five Church Restaurant. What's interesting about that space is the Five Church Restaurant. If you notice on the front, the bricks actually spell out the Redeemer. So the reason that is because Harriet Pinckney, I want to say that would be the niece of Eliza. So they always share the same names. She actually started that place as a church for the sailors coming in off the water, so they had somewhere to worship. That's why it's called the Redeemer. So again, it wasn't any specific faith, it was just somewhere to come and worship. But that's why it says that on the front. And the Five Church Restaurant is kind of a high class, $100 a plate kind of restaurant. But yeah, it's gorgeous inside. I've seen pictures, I've never actually been inside.
What's it called again?
Five Church.
Five Church Restaurant.
Lisa went there. She had all kinds of pictures.
It's right next to the candy shop on the corner.
Yeah. Sounds
It's
it.
right next to what?
The candy shop on the corner?
Oh, okay. It's called church. And it's
Oh, that's when all the photos.
Yeah.
And everybody on that last tour, they were just shooting photos of that place. Yeah.
So what terms have we heard? What have we gotten?
What'd you get?
I got free and calm, I'm telling you.
Free and
Free and calm.
Good
Classical
thing yours is
music, that's
recording.
all I've got the whole
Carla, you
time.
got anything?
Not much.
Got anything at all? Nothing. Okay.
Victory, and then I had Stephen, and then I asked me who I am. So I'm like, I don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
I don't want this.
I would tell you, Robert's word list, because he was running one very similar to the one we had, that Felicia has. He just has the downgraded version, as you guys all know, but the name Isaac showed up. What was the name of the doctor's dueling opponent? Ralph Isaacs. So I'm going to ask him for that list. He's going to email it to me so I can attach it to your analysis. I'll see what else is in there and kind of see if things match up a little bit.
Oh, wow. Now, would you hear, like, the recordings that they had? You'll hear them. So if this was something that they just didn't pick
just
up.
missed
Okay.
It. Happens every single night.
I'm sure.
Not an easy
I mean,
job.
I heard all kinds of things on hers. I pulled her out of my ear. I didn't want to hear anymore.
You guys can go ahead and kill your videos. So let's get you the answers and we'll get